She came home early, not 5 minutes early, not an hour early. She came home at the exact moment that would change everything. And what happened next, what the black janitor did in those few unexpected moments, would completely shatter her assumptions and rewrite the story of who he really was. Stay with me, because this is not the story you think it is. Rachel's day had started like any other. Meetings, emails, small talk in hallways. But when her afternoon meeting was suddenly canceled, she felt an odd pull to leave immediately. No reason, no explanation, just a feeling she couldn't shake. She drove home earlier than planned, her mind unusually quiet, her hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than normal. When she pulled into her driveway, the first thing she noticed was the front door. It was unlocked. Rachel never left it unlocked. A chill ran down her spine. She stepped inside slowly, her heart pounding louder with every step. The house felt different, heavy. Then she heard voices coming from the living room. A man's voice she didn't recognize, and another voice that stopped her cold. Marcus, the janitor from her office building. Rachel froze in the hallway, trying to understand what she was seeing. Marcus stood tall, holding a thick folder. Across from him sat a man in an expensive suit, his face pale, his hands trembling slightly. When Marcus noticed Rachel, his face didn't show fear. It showed relief. "Ms. Rachel," Marcus said calmly, "you came home early." "That's good." Her confusion turned into anger. "Marcus, why are you in my house? Who is this man?" Before the man in the suit could speak, Marcus gently raised his hand. "Please, let me explain. I promise everything will make sense. Before we continue, if you're watching stories like this for the truth hidden beneath everyday life, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the Black Stories. Your support helps these powerful stories reach more people." Rachel hesitated, but nodded. Marcus took a deep breath. He explained that the man sitting on her couch was a private investigator, one she didn't hire, one her husband did. Rachel's stomach dropped. Marcus continued, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. He told her he hadn't meant for her to find out this way. He told her that for months, while cleaning offices late at night, he'd overheard conversations that didn't sit right with him. Names, dates, money. Her husband's name came up more than once. Marcus had tried to ignore it. He needed his job. He had a family to support. But the more he heard, the clearer it became. Rachel's husband was involved in something dangerous. Something illegal. And worse, something that put her at risk. Marcus explained how he quietly started taking notes, copying discarded documents, recording details no one thought a janitor would notice. When he tried to warn Rachel anonymously, nothing changed. So he made a decision that terrified him. He confronted her husband. That confrontation led to threats. And those threats led Marcus to bring the evidence somewhere safe. Her house. Rachel felt her knees weaken as she sat down. The room spun. Marcus wasn't invading her home. He was protecting it. Protecting her. The investigator confirmed everything. The money laundering, the fake accounts, the plans to leave the country without her. Rachel felt betrayed, humiliated, and sick. And yet, standing in front of her was the one person who had risked everything to tell her the truth. A man she barely acknowledged in the hallway. A man whose name she learned only from his badge. Marcus apologized quietly. He said he knew how it looked. He said he didn't expect thanks. He just couldn't stay silent anymore. Rachel looked at him, really looked at him, and realized how wrong she'd been. How invisible she'd made him. That evening, when her husband came home and found the investigator waiting, everything unraveled. There was shouting, denial, then silence. And finally, handcuffs. Marcus stood quietly in the corner, his hands folded, his eyes lowered. Days later, Rachel returned to work. The building felt different. When she saw Marcus pushing his cart down the hallway, she stopped him. She thanked him. Not casually, not politely, but deeply, with tears in her eyes. She told him he saved her life. Marcus simply nodded and said, "I just did what was right." Weeks passed, then months. Rachel filed for divorce. She rebuilt her life slowly. One afternoon, she noticed Marcus wasn't cleaning floors anymore. He was sitting in a conference room, wearing a suit. She later learned the company had hired him as a compliance officer. Turns out, he'd studied law years ago, but life had pushed him into survival mode instead. Rachel smiled when she saw him. A quiet smile of respect. Stories like this remind us that heroes don't always wear suits or badges. Sometimes they wear uniforms we overlook. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below, because we want to know your thoughts. This is the Black Stories, where unheard voices finally get heard.